did not expect to play this map. They thought it would be gone because M80 don't like it, and this could be a gift for them as we move on. And Thatcher will be the first ban that we are going to see on a map like Cafe. I think it's mainly just to target ban that kitchen site to stop teams from pushing in that side of the map. Not being banned, as always, not a bad one to get rid of as well. But the defensive bans are the hardest ones. Yeah, I know, but still, people like to get rid of them.
It's a pointless ban now. Reddit told me that. Zami is next to go. Zami next to go. No surprise there. How difficult it is to deal with an Azami, especially when they set up inside a piano on this site. And G2 with our final defensive ban, and I'm really gonna act super surprised. It's a Fenrir. What?
Wow, didn't see that coming. Yeah,
enthusiasm, Gibby.
Honestly, like the amount of options that are open now for defensive bans are through the roof, and there's a real trend of the newest operator coming in on defense usually being incredibly impactful straight off the bat. And of course, we don't have quarantine time anymore, so Fenrir is allowed to be played. So you can't play Fenrir, you're going to take Solace. And this is a map where I think Solace is really good in the early phase, particularly when you're defending the top floor, because there's only 2 staircases that you can get those drones through, and Solace can hold one, and you have another player just keeping an eye on the other side of the map. Honestly, I like the pick. One thing I do like is G2 extending down towards Library, reinforcing that wall into Pillar, which means that you can play a little bit more of the verticality. You can freely move a little bit more on that middle floor as the defenders. But Solace, looking like G2. Benja wants to get a little bit aggro here in the early stages of this round.
I think he may be just teasing us with that idea. Benja wouldn't jump out, and I think, right, what Benja has done has it opened up the windows, and that's going to give a little bit of a thought process now. If you spawn in one of those spawns, to see that open and be like, what's G2 cooking? What's Benja done? And that's going to be an extra delay. It's one more piece of that puzzle that you're going to figure out what's going on. The reinforcements expansion down below, though, that's one thing I want to loop back on. Does this mean it's a little bit safer for Benja to play in these areas like Reading, where he can get the most impact out of his gadget? He can see when that plant goes down. He can deny that with the impacts he brings, and could be a massive problem. He's hunted and cleared with only 3 drones. It's still effective with the Solace on the board, but he can be a problem later on in that round when they're forced to clear him out. Hatches open up, and it's a traditional cafe take. Yippee! They're all on the roof, and the hatches open. And that'll begin that droning phase once again.
Took them 50 seconds, though. Pretty slow to get the hatches open. I think people might be wondering at home as well, why did Gomez open 1 hatch and then wait an extra couple of seconds before he went to the second? It's to try bait C4s. You know, it's very easy for a player playing below new hatch to assume that if the red hatch gets opened within a second or 2, the player will be over by new hatch. So, again, that's why they waited, trying to see if a C4 would get tossed, but it doesn't. Now, Diaz has got himself over on this side of the map, so they're going to put some pressure on cocktail windows. You've got Nomad, so you can prevent the run out and the vault out, and it allows you to put even more pressure on this side of the map. And as of late, I've become a bit more of a fan of cocktail techs, particularly when you have the operators that prevent defenders from running out, because now you can hold one side from the skylight. You can use Ying to get active. Gemini, though, is going to shut it down with a quick double, and that's a big problem for M80. It's a 4v3, a 4v2 now, as Virtue's able to find one stepping out of the bathroom. Valk's playing below, but Diaz and Gomez have seen this attack fall right in front of them. But the only thing that they do have with it is time, a minute to still play with.
They can find a pick here. This isn't beyond the realms of a comeback for M80 in this round. I like what they tried. They had the Ying, they had that explosive executability. Virtue left in DBNO brings us level, confirmed by Gomez. 2 versus 2 in 40 seconds. Member of G2 still on the roam. You have that Sauce of Benja. They know that case is cold. No impacts with Benja, but the P90 has the ability to send enough lead up through that floor to be a problem. 30 seconds, and it's slow. Tented a few moments. Doki not sure where this threat will arrive, with the camera inside a bar is still up, so he has some level of safety. He creeps up on board, but gets himself compromised. Gomez finds 3 in the round, and Benja left alone. He has a mirror window when he finds out of Gomez. Looks for a second one, but all he has to do is play the time. Hold on and wait. Be patient and don't peek, Benja. Hold on, he swings wide and finds Diaz. G2 round 1.
Yeah, that mirror setup inside a bathroom, that was a problem. The lines of sight, Solace. Really, even in that 1 versus 2, you always had to fancy G2 as long as Benja stayed cool, calm, and collected. And this is one of the things that I love about Benja, right? One of the most mechanically gifted players in the world. He is a difference maker. But if you know him, he's so cool and collected all the time as well. He never really gets overly emotional, and that's the exact type of trait that you need in a player like him, especially when you already have Doki and Alamau, players who are really high energy and high tempo on a side.
You might be the only person that can get a conversation in a Benja, it feels like, as well.
He likes me. I don't know why, but Benja does seem to like me, so I'll take it.
One of the most quiet and reserved people I've ever seen. You know, he's back in time his previous roster. You know, he done some interviews when we won for a national league, and very, very quiet, very reserved. Doesn't reflect the gameplay at all. One of the best in the world, and quietly spoken throughout the round. Alamau on the Valkyrie, another high impact defender available. The amount of them is quite tremendous. Information, a key virtue for this team. The G2 get themselves another defensive victory. A mirror setup deployed once again upstairs. Very similar placements. Again, that's how you want to hold upstairs. But it is going to be a site down below. It's reading. And mining does look a little bit vulnerable. Alamau, the only soul holding on to it. But will that be aware? Will Amity be aware of that position, that potential weak point? The defense as Kino has donned the Monty.
I love it. And he's Brazilian. Of course, the Brazilian player is going to bring out Monty. I spoke in depth previously about how good Brazilian players of Brazilian teams are using Monty to take space aggressively. That's what Kino really has to do. And it's a really good counter to the fact that there's a mirror looking this way again. So you can step on up, try to get right up close and melee it and have somebody cover the player trying to get the swing. That option is there. I'm not saying it's going to be used, but it's something to keep in mind. But what I do like is knowing the fact that most of the resources are on the top floor. There's going to be some phantom pressure now over by Pillar to try to bait some of those players on the top floor back towards site.
Snow door just being opened enough to begin to make G2 consider the potential that it might be an aggressive push to walk in hell and get that control. Now they have the verticality on that position and a mirror in sight, so it won't be easy to do that. But as you said, phantom pressure. I talked about how mining might be a weak point, and look at this. Kino has waltzed on in with the shield and can now perhaps even toy and dabble with the idea of hitting site directly. If they have control of white with a decent drone network to hold that flank, one repel onto dining window, and this could be a very, very clean execute from Amity. But Spoit decides he wants to get control of white stairs with his rifle. Will walk up at Alamau a little bit late to the dance for that one. The MPX rattles off, and that's not going to deter Spoit. He walks up and looks to find his first victim instead of reading his Kino. Begins to work right the case.
Yeah, so now Spoit has to cover these two angles. Everyone else is planting inside a reading room, and now Spoit can get focused on the Valk from below. Once the case goes down, go get aggressive. Alamau has to fight and claw his way back up. He's going to begin to peek, and he's going to get taken down by Spoit. Now he can focus on the player pushing out from Laundry. That's what's going to happen as Virtue creeping and crawling with that TCSG. But there's also a player on the window just above Spoit. Spoit's going to step up, but the slug will take him down. 4v4, 15 seconds still now for M80 to try hold on.
G2 have to make it happen now or never. It's going to be too much time. The diffuser hits critical. G2 with one survivor, but the time will be their nemesis. Iconic claims Virtue, and it goes down. I was saying, you know, it looks a bit weak towards mining. There's not a lot of pressure from G2. A Valkyrie camera can only be an early warning, but it's only that, a warning. And well, Kino being the dream matchup for a final, but you don't have to wait too much longer to see these teams go and lock horns once again. It's time for this one. Round number 3, Cafe, map number 2, G2 M80, and it's a repeat of Fireplace and Reading. Last time out, we saw Kino don the Monty and basically be given free reign to waltz straight at mining, straight into dining, and get a plant for free. Supported by his teammate as Spoit on white, it was an easy execution, and G2 had no answer. Will we see a repeat of that one, or have adaptations been made? They've had time to think about it. They've had time to stew. Can they get it done?
Well, I like what has actually been done here from Eddie. They're taking pretty much the same loadout once more. The big thing about this is they put phantom pressure on Pillar again, which pretty much didn't allow G2 then to play the defense that they wanted. Now, what I do like is G2 have also adapted. They've not taken the mirror this time around. They've taken a completely different lineup. And again, the big thing to keep an eye on is Virtue on the Aruni. Virtue, I think, is one of those players that's defying the laws of time. You know, he's one of the elder statesmen that we have inside of competitive Siege. But with the DMR and the reaction time he's been shown, which looks to me like it's still improving, he could have a big impact on this round. Because even though G2 lost the first map, I'd say Virtue put himself together a pretty good map.
Yeah, but I mean, Virtue, ever since Montreal in February, he's been having a kind of... It's a weird one to say. He's been on the roster inside of EU for so long, but it was one of his best performances since that swap. And I do feel that Virtue, as you said, kind of going against Father Time and getting better as he gets older and more mature with this space and with this team. Looks like a very similar approach by Amity this time again. If you remember before that pause, they kind of toyed the idea of opening the snow door, a little bit of phantom pressure. It drew the attention of G2 quite significantly, which allowed Kino to just waltz on in and get control of mining and get that case down. Spoit will send in a clone and get as much information as possible and spots an aggressive push. Alamo goes up downstairs, and well, the Brava gets in safely in a difficult position. Doki gets one, and oh my! G2 light up the feed, but Diaz gets one back as Benjo falls, as Kino gets control, lowers the shield, only to invite Alamo to find his life. And trade once again by Diaz, but left alone against 3. He's got a minute 30 all the time to work with, but no case in hand. A little bit difficult to imagine a clutch play, but I will never doubt any player on this M80 stack of absolute heroics.
They tried to do the opposite of last time. They tried to put the real pressure through Pillar and push in. It didn't work. Not quite sure how Alamo managed to cross the top of those whiskey stairs, but again, Diaz now tosses the stun. And this is what I like. Whenever the stun grenade was thrown, instead of just sitting and waiting, Gemini knew I had 2 seconds, maybe 1 second to swing and get this kill before I get taken down myself. Good decision making by Gemini. G2 won the round. But again, how did Alamo cross those whiskey stairs when Bravo was standing in the door?
I think Bravo, basically what happened was a wonderful thing called siege timing. Bravo probably put Shift and W together, sent it in to get control of Pillar. Alamo also decided Shift W straight in the Pillar. Neither of them had their weapons ready, so it was an awkward stalemate. Ultimately, Alamo was able to win out and get that advantage. And G2, a flurry of 3 kills back to back to back, left that round wide open, and they get the victory on that. And they'll rotate down to the basement now, or inside a kitchen, I should say, that first floor. A site that has a lot of variety in how you want to hold it. Do you want to hold it on site? Do you want to roam? Do you want to play it horizontally? I have a feeling G2 will do an expansive hold on the entirety of this first floor, make it very difficult to enter site itself if M80 even get that far.
Yeah, and I want to touch back on that thing you brought up as well, siege timing. I think I speak for you, myself, all of the viewers at home, and all of the ranked community when I say none of us have ever died to a better player. We just always get timings. The copium I'm huffing right now is real.
Gibby, oh, you gotta say what? You've been an impressive man. We had a GLG the other night in ranked, guys. A Gibson Life game occurred.
I went 3-7.
It's marked on your calendar. A GLG happened on the 12th of July. Got that one locked in. So, early days, M80 looks to try and put primarily their focus of their pressure, I should say, in towards this bakery, beginning to try and deconstruct what G2 have elaborated on. No shield, but the Rooney Gate protects Toki for a little bit, and Gomez finds a lot of damage taken. That T5 is not a very forgiving weapon, and that's going to be a great impact. Denies the first set of Selmas, you can deny a second, not the third, but a huge commitment of utility, and Doki wants to take these fights.
Yeah, because he knows that he's got coverage on the window. There's a player below red. They're going to combine the swing. Benja says thank you very much. His cross isn't covered, but Diaz gets the double. Down goes Benja and Doki. And that's a big kill. That secures Wedding. Now you got to put pressure on Alamo on the side again. He's going to peek for a 3rd time. But you've got all of this access now inside of Bakery. You've got the wall open so you can keep an angle towards the window inside of Prep again. You've forced all of G2 back into the other site, and this has opened up a massive chance now for M80 to tie this over.
It's only a body, but it was a body tap, doesn't count. Kino will walk in though and find that head of virtue. Knocking on the door of sight or M80. The diffuser recovered. They can try and work the plant. Does Alamau have it in him to be able to hold this line? The pressure of Gemini in coat check splits this site in half. Means that plant and Ramsey's a lot harder to make it stick. A minute to work with, so M80 have time and have the drones as well. 3 left to work with as well. They can hunt out the remaining players of G2. A C4, not applicable for the defensive side either. So it's all down to the guns in hand. Gemini, a key cross held. He needs to win this fight to keep Alamau in this. The plant goes down. The first tap is there. And I don't think G2 have an answer to this one. There's nothing they can do. Gemini needs to get a move on, but shut down by Sport. Leave it all down to the export from Brazil. It's Alamau with 1 hit B and a dream. And Diaz decides to make it a nightmare. M80, draw level.
And again, it was the great work. Diaz with the double on that wedding window completely destroyed any plans G2 had to hold that site, and it forces what looks like a timeout now again. And you can tell again, Bodega brings that mic down to his face and he's able to talk to his team then at that point. But this is the thing, right? There's M80 are very, very good at isolating players and picking up kills and catching them when they're least expecting
very, very good. You end the sentence there. Very, very good.
This is true. This is true.
That's top tier. Top tier. Why aren't you on the desk, man? Give me on desk. Look, it's got a ring to it.
Well, there's a reason why. They brought the best player in EU
words?
over to NA and Spoit. Like Spoit is as much as Benja was the answer, Spoit is the key for M80 as well. And again, when you have Kino, Iconic, Diaz, and Spoit on the one team, it's over. And that's not even mentioning how good Gomez is.
So what you're saying, Gibby, let me bullet point that.
Elaborate, please. Elaborate, please.
No, I'll bullet point it. Like we're revising for an exam. M80 equal goats is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's the plan. Take the best players from every team, and you're going to do pretty well.
Can't argue with that logic, to be honest. And yeah, you may Spoit. I think I'm a firm believer in the wise words of a friend of ours that Spoit might be the best player in the world. Benja, a close second. I think a fair analogy, even though one's a world champion, one's a major champion. Would you agree?
I think you're right. You're on to something anyway. Keep cooking. Keep cooking.
Okay. So, Spoit's the best player in the world. Does he then how much of that energy does he give to his team to make them the best team in the world, you know? That's my logic.
So what you're saying is you're saying even by having him, it buffs everybody else on the team.
Yes.
Let's see how it goes. So, round started. Benja in place again on those whiskey stairs using his ability. And if he spots anybody who's on a drone out that window, he will go out in the flash of an eye. Nobody's going to present themselves just yet, so he makes his way back up towards Pillar. Again, you look at the way M80 are going to play. They're going to attack this map on every single floor. They've got a little bit of pressure on the ground floor. They're going to put a little bit of pressure on the middle floor, and they're going to send people up towards the top again and just clear the map phase by phase. Last time we came here, it should have been an easy round for G2. They had a 4v2, but they allowed M80 back. And it was a very similar setup that G2 have this time as well.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing to me is that G2 keep doing a very similar setup. Eventually, M80 will be able to crack it down. That mirror setup is beautiful because it has a fantastic cross, and it really is difficult to clear that player in bathroom. So another cocktail take is going to be the primary focus of this from M80. Spoit with an aid in hand, and hopefully this is going to be able to connect. No, caught by a catcher. And Benja finds the opening. That's going to be Iconic off the board. Gomez is going to find 2 back-to-back, and Doki and Benja fall downstairs in reading. And that's now a problem for G2. They've lost their own game. They've lost that presence. And now the nades available from M80 prove to be a real problem. Both of them available for Gomez, so with a good bit of information, he might be able to collect a freebie from down below.
Yeah, 3 versus 4, and now you've forced the anchor players to hold their positions on the side of G2. Bathroom, pallets, and cocktail are where they are going to hold. So, look, M80 again, they don't rush into things. They play it pretty slow. They're still going to drone. You know, you look at the efficiency of their drone network again, it's pretty good so far as they're able to paint a picture of where these defenders are still in place. Now, the thing is, it's one thing with it knowing where the defenders are. It's a very different thing trying to force them out of these positions. And look at the aggression on I think, is that Virtue, who's just gone prone out of bathroom to catch anybody who may think to move. And Gemini gets one, making it a 3v3, but he gets traded back instantly by Diaz, keeping the numbers in favor of M80.
I mean, they need to hold this numbers advantage. 40 seconds. Kino tries to stick it, so now it's neutralized. It's the two active guns against each other, but the repels might be enough for one player crosses. The case gets sticked, and now the problem all sits at G2. A post-plant situation with the repels in play. A massive issue for G2 to solve. Virtue creeps up, but Heaven might be too difficult to solve, and Spoit has all the angles to work with as well. I think it's pretty safe to say this round is all in favor of M80. Diaz almost guarantees it, but Virtue will find one. But the repel, that spells demise. There's no way to save it. Kino a freebie, and M80 get one more round on the offense.
Yeah, really good round again from M80. And again, they're just finding great ways to take down G2 players. Anytime they lose somebody, there's always someone to trade it back the other way again. They're playing so good as a cohesive unit. And the best thing is, you and I had heard that their practice going into this event wasn't ideal. You know, teams were saying that the things that they're doing really well now are the things that they weren't doing well in practice. So either that tells me that A, they were, you know, maybe a little bit relaxed with their practice, or B, they seriously looked back, worked on what was going wrong in their practice coming up to Gamers8 and fixed it.
I think your source has got some wobbly information, Gibby. M80 seem to really have gelled together. Or is your source a trust me, bro? Is that what we're going with?
I think our source is a little column A, little column B. I think they might have went, you know what? It's Gibson and Whippet. Let's nuke them. Let's make sure that they don't know all the right information. But again, we got to give credit to M80. Again, isolating individual defenders. And on the side of G2, how do you counter that? Well, you play a little bit closer together. You play with that, you know, 3 to 5 second rule, where you always keep a teammate within 3 to 5 seconds of you. So once you get put under pressure, you can rotate back and get some cover. Yes, it's not necessarily the way the G2 play. It's not the way W7M usually play either, because they're two teams that trust their players to hold their own. But M80 are winning the ones at the minute.
And at the end of the day, Gibby, it's an FPS. You have to win your ones. You can have the best strategy, but if you can't hit the barn door, you won't get a chance at the silverware. So M80 in a great position. Can they go into the half with a 4-2 advantage, or will G2 get themselves level once again? Both the maps we've seen so far, we can't really get significant daylight between these teams. Keeping it close, trading blows back and forth, and, well, it's a round of cafe. Are we surprised? Both hatches open, and a slow, methodical start, gathering information, beginning to form the battle lines of where they want to enter, and poking, probing, and looking for potential weak points, and it might be on this pillar wall as Gomez opens it up from that double window, and means it's a very uncomfortable stay inside of reading for any member of G2.
Yeah, and the thing is, they use their denial, their Cade clause, in different parts of the map. So now you've given them pillar. Now Monty takes control of bathroom. As easy as that. Just by stepping in that area of the map, you're forcing G2 to give up space. This is what we always praise Brazilian teams for, and it's a Brazilian player doing it right now. Pretty much clearing most of top floor all by himself, but Alama was able to get the kill onto Gomez. Now, here's the thing. You've lost a player, and you've got Monty. This is where I think Monty becomes more of a problem than a solution. Whenever you're down one gun and you've Monty, it's a bit of an issue.
Monty's walked in the site. Kino's putting direct pressure onto Doki. The TCSG hits hard, so if he's given an opportunity, he can punish anyone. But he really feels a bit pressured now, stuck in a corner with a shield in his face, waiting for perhaps an overextension of Kino. But Spoit drops prone straight into Doki. The drop of the shield's enough to give Kino a chance to get that trade. Advantage still with G2, and well, we said it's a disadvantage having a shield, not a rifle. Well, I think Kino took that personally, but he's going to get himself shut down. The DMR. Virtue gets the job done, leaving it in the 4 versus 2. 30 seconds remain, and G2, can they hold on? Well, Iconic threats one, but only drops to his demise. Benja gets that kill, and Virtue wraps it up. Once again, Gibby, we're going level into the second half of Cafe.
This is great. This is a really good matchup so far. Both sides are doing some things really well and then doing some things rather poorly. And that it actually usually makes for really fun games to watch. But now things change. G2 are on attack. M80 are pushing it on defense. And you look at the historic record on this map for both of these sides. Well, G2, they've played 12 rounds on attack this year so far on Cafe. They have won 9 of them. They're running at 75% win rate on this map against M80, who've not played this map all year in the officials. So what does that tell you? That tells you G2 are exactly where they want to be going into their attacking half.
Okay, that's fair enough. I like it. Gibby, you're breaking it down nicely. Would you say, though, Amity haven't played it at all so far in the regular competition? They've brought it out. Very first game of Gamers8. Is that not an intention? Is that not a statement of intent that we're going to throw everything at this competition? Because there's a nice little break from this until stage 2 begins, so they can begin to rework that strat book. So anything they had hidden, anything left in the tank, they're going to deploy it now. And I think that might be what I'm seeing from M80.
Well, this is the thing, though. This is the theory crafting that we would do. Were they hiding this map all along? Well, you have to be if you're bringing it in, but is it the best idea to bring it in the upper bracket when you've still got another life going down? We'll see. They win this map, they stay in the upper bracket, and they'll prove us wrong. So G2, again, nothing really crazy about what they're doing. You get the hatches open, you start droning out over by Bar Cocktail. You get a couple of players set up over by the cocktail, or over by the windows and cocktail side and heaven, and you just poke and prod and try to get one of those M80 players to make the first mistake and gift you that first kill.
A game of chess. That's all this is at this point. The pulse knows every movement of Benja as Diaz sees his heartbeat through the wall. Wants to make it just a little bit slower and stop it all together in this round. Slow, methodical default Cafe start. Some damage done the Doki early. And G2 are playing the mind games, not over-aggressing and just waiting for M80 to perhaps get, itchy feet, a little bit of a need to swing, wanting to get aggressive. Doki has information, the player inside of stage, a difficult scrap with the DMR in hand, will try and find the opening. A very dangerous dance to the devil. Flashbang goes out to help support it, and Spoits fall blinded. Gemini finds one to Iconic, and G2 have an opening now in this round as Gomez is left and DBno elsewhere across the map. And this could be a huge opening opportunity for G2 to get themselves advantageous positions on the offense here on Cafe. And that nade will confirm Gomez. Nope.
Yeah, and Gomez probably not going to get assisted here as well. The player goes through. Alamau didn't spot the down players, more focused on Spoit, cleans that one up. 5 versus 3 now. G2 really starting to just rein in M80. Diaz is going to get in a big fight, but he gets taken down as well as Benja makes it a 5v2. G2 almost on the brink of going flawless on their first attack. Kino, the last man standing, all alone in sight as a barrage of pressure comes his way. But this is a great way for G2 to start their attack in half.
Kino alone, 30 seconds and an SMG-11 in hands. Gomez, fade to black. The round's over for you. The rotation spotted, and Kino tries for heroics, but shut down in G2 on Cafe. A flawless round.
It's exactly what they needed. That is so good from G2 on their first round on attack. And again, it was focused, it was aggressive. They kept Spoit completely trapped inside of Piano, kept pressure from two sides. Once Alamau got the player pushed out of bathroom, which he got by the DBNO, it allowed him to just step in and take a freebie onto Spoit. Now M80 change it up. They're going to kitchen dining. The question is, what way did they elect to defend it? When we watched G2 do it, it was pretty standard. You had a couple of denial, a couple of ADSs out, and you played Doki by the counter, and he was in charge of keeping a bit of an eye on wedding window and keeping that double door closed. What are M80 going to do? Well, in the early stages, looks like it's pretty much the exact same setup.
Nope. No, it's not, Gibby. You don't know why it's not the exact same setup?
5 seconds remaining.
Tachanka.
There you go. So what's the Chonka going to do? Sit at the back of site, and with every single thing open, we'll be able to send those Shamika launchers, those incendiary grenades that choke out a push. Now remember, G2 were punished by the fact that Amity could get a plant behind those kitchen counters relatively free, even with the coat that cross held by Gemini. So now, with the Chonka, you can go a little bit deeper and deny that plant. But Diaz looks to try and deny G2 on entry, aggressive inside of lobby. I doesn't think he's going to look the right way. Leaves himself exposed to G2 information. Don't think they do.
Yeah, he's going to try to greet the players as they make their way in, but not in the way that you would want to if you're on attack. But again, he's playing aggressive. I like it when a player backs themselves. The question is, how long do you hold this position? Because the longer you stay there, the more likely it is that you're going to get droned and give up the ghost. But look at the rest of the drone network that's being set up by G2. They've got a drone on red stairs on the flower pot, which will tell them if anybody is playing in Harry Potter based on audio cue alone, which means that you can safely push up to wedding window. G2 are doing a great job of just cleaning up areas of the map, which will really enable them for their push in the late game.
They're basically trimming the fat, making this a really tasty opportunity for them. Every single bit of control they get begins to paint a better picture for what M80 have set up, and they can counter that more precisely. They've got lots of time to still pick everything apart, and they've only lost 3 drones. They've gathered a substantial amount of information, and they've only lost 3. Great drone work, great drone utilization from G2, and there's those first couple of canisters going off, detonating and burning up instead of like delaying time, and that might be the key thing for this round. If M80 can choke out time and use its denial perfectly, it can make it difficult with G2 because both Smoke and the Chonka are in play.
Yeah, and Doki's got himself on white stairs as well. And Smoke, where the smoke canisters are being used, they're being used in Whiskey to stop Alamau from pushing down those stairs as they lock down that area of the map. Now, if you're G2, you got to work in tandem to clear Diaz, but Diaz is going to whiff his shots, and Benja is able to get the kills. That's a big kill. Doki's getting aggressive as well. He finds one as they isolate another one. It's a 4 versus 3. Yes, Benja is going to fall as the player dips back into co-check. That could be vital now as they regain a vital bit of control on the map, but there's still 43 seconds to go. But look at where Buck has got himself in position. Gemini is in freezer in sight. But they don't have the case, as you pointed out.
The case is on an island. It's in reception. And Kino, well, the Smoke with an SMG-11 shotgun combination. This is what you want to hold on to it. The Gemini clone goes in, but do they spot out Kino? I think they do. They must have seen it. Now it's going to be a dance with the devil. The shotgun up close to person. The G2 need to go. They can't wait too much longer. This round is in the balance. And there's the opening. Alamo finds it. 3 of kills as Gemini gets 1 more, but 5 seconds remain. Gomez needs to hold on. Triple zeros here, and that plant's not safe at all. But can G2 cover a great rotation? He has information. It's going to be an easy deny, but no, the ping's not accurate, and Alamo gets the stick.
That was bad. The information was a little bit wrong. The red ping was historic, and Alamau perfectly baited out. That's why he didn't stick the spot in the first place. He saw the ping, he moved again, and he got it down in the blink of an eye. But G2 take a 5-3 lead, and that's a really good 2 attacking rounds for G2. They've built up a ton of momentum going into this one. Now can they keep it going? This is their map pick, and this is the map that they excel on attack, and they've shown it so far.
They've come to life on the offense here. That last round, that was beautiful. G2, when they needed to just hit the site, go, they've got that freebie, that pick that Benjo was able to collect inside of reception. On a statement, Benjo was unaware the Warden was there, but still on reaction, that second peak finds the damage at the MR. So punishing of a weapon to deal with in the defense. And now, well, they collapse. They got aggressive and they got so much control. Unfortunately, the case went cold in the hands of Benja. Now, 5-3. Advantage G2. Can they continue this momentum? Can they keep it rolling? Or will M80 find a way to put up a roadblock and slow this game back down and get themselves into the fight on Cafe once again?
And this is a setup that it's been a little while since I've seen it. You castle off the double door, which means that you can just focus on holding piano from inside a bathroom. It means that if they drop down red hatch, unless they get the barricade open, there's only 2 ways they can force it to site, which means you got to at the same time make sure that default plant is not easy to get to. So Gomez will play directly below the hatch with Warden. That's a pretty good decision. It means if any stun grenades are thrown, pop on the glasses, stop the quick push. There's the first clone dropping to clear him out, and now he puts himself in Humidor.
G2 have been very good at solving the problems. That's how words are difficult sometimes, Gibby, unfortunately. I'm too excited. That's what it is. But G2 have been very good at solving the problems presented to them. M80 have had a variety of different strategies. They've had basically, a mixture of good solid strategy and massive independent personal plays from every person on the team. G2 have found a way to solve these problems and do it in a timely fashion. Alamau presented with the castle barrier, instantly calls over Virtue, and just like that, like a seamless machine, G2 get that cracked open, as Alamau can now begin to put that pressure from that heaven balcony. One player tucked in close to Shaiko on this, right between the bomb chassis and that barricade, and misdroned. Gomez is going to get pressured out now by that Flores drone, but no one's there to catch him from that cross inside of hell, as Kino is lurking there, perhaps baiting and tempting a run out.
Job done, though. The player's dropped, so there's only 2 ways now that Warden can get back to site. Benja's able to find the kill on Gomez now, as Warden did fall. Good clear by G2. Now the big thing. They have 1 minute and 14 seconds left. They've got a lot of control here already, but that's a great flank from Iconic. He gets one. Diaz gets another, and all of a sudden, M80 are back in. Gemini does get the trade back the other way, but now you got to worry about Spoit. That castle has been opened. Benja still holding anyone to push through. While Gemini runs into his own stun, but he does it to try clear inside. But the player's already long gone, and Gemini stuns himself again. He's a little bit... dare we say starstruck, but Benja does get us one on the stairs. Spoit steps in, he's traded back 3 versus 1, and surely G2 going to move on to map point.
G2 in complete and utter control. Alamau will be able to stick this surely without contention. No! Diaz creeps around, but the CZ doesn't help him out in that position as Benja, quick reactions, drops. Can't cover his teammate, but can find the trade in G2 on map point here on Cafe. I've got a feeling, a sneaking suspicion, we might need to go all the way to Clubhouse to settle this best of 3.
Did say it was a 2-1. Did say it. You went 2-0. I said 2.
No, Gibby. Don't act all smug that, oh, my prediction was right. I couldn't agree with you. I wanted G2 to win. You said they're going to win 2-1. The only other way I could have got my G2 prediction in. I'm completely non-biased caster here, by the way. I believe in everyone can win, but I wanted G2 to win this. Couldn't say 2-1. That's what I wanted.
You could have easily agreed with me, but you made the choice to not to. The same way that G2 have made the choice to win on Cafe, and that's what they're doing pretty well. M80 have not won a single round on defense. G2 living up to their record of winning 3 out of every 4 rounds that they play on attack here on Cafe. But can they make it 4 for 4? Can they take us to map 3 sooner rather than later? If I was G2, I would try to get this map over as soon as possible. Don't give M80 any momentum whatsoever going into that 3rd map.
No, you can't do that. Now, you got to feel, we saw steady hands of a Spoit when he's playing Jenga earlier. You think that's going to continue now? Pressure on him. Can he perform? Can he begin to dig his team out of this one? And yes, he can! The smooth operator sends it out of heaven window, and Virtue bursts the fall. What a play from Spoit. Confidence and aggression to get the opening pick.
That's what Spoit is so good at doing. He's only 2-5 since the rehost. He's not been kicked off since they've gotten back into the server. And the King of the North battle that we spoke about before is so far being dominated by Benja. Benja is going 9-4. And here's the thing. You're 4 members down. Diaz is going to waste his C4 now. That's another bit of vital utility gone. But they've still got the numerical advantage. They've got some very good operators to delay G2. I just don't want to see them do anything silly. Don't give G2 a freebie, and there's Spoit getting a second.
He's the best in the world.
He's back. He's back.
He is simply the best player in the world. Spoit uncontainable, uncontrollable here on this defense for M80. Huge 3K, the round's all down the him. What can G2 do? The answer, not much. Alamau stuck on white stairs, the case is cold, and as they get closer and closer, they're only entering the den of Spoit. And it's surely over. M80, don't overextend, don't push too much, and the round should be in the guarantee, and you get yourself 1 step closer to overtime. Alamau will get Gomez. And don't let this slip away, Spoit. Don't overextend. Goes for a 4K and couldn't find the head of Nomad.
First time he's missed a shot, really, in this round, but still 4 versus 2. Benj is on the prowl now as he pushes in towards Freezer. That is a kill coming through. Diaz will pick that one up, so no ace for Spoit. But it does mean that Alamau, who's all outside, all by his lonesome, has a big job to do. M80 trying to bring this back to 6-4. There is a gunfight that is going to happen on White Stairs. Alamau sprinting, has no clue that there's a 2-way cross being held, and Diaz rounds that one out. 2-round game now as M80 finally win a round on defense, but they've still got quite a ways to go to win this map.
A long way to go, but I tell you what, momentum, bit of wind in the sails of M80. They needed that round. G2 didn't even get close, didn't even get anything going at all. Shut down from the very beginning of that one. An aggressive jump out by Spoit locked it down. And well, can G2 calm the nerves a little bit, bring it back to a central neutral position and get this map closed out and book our ticket to Clubhouse? Surely they can get that one done.
So round 11. And this is it for G2. Another match point. They've got a map point. They've got 2 of them, so you know they can lose this one. But then at that point, they need to lose or win the next because they don't want to go to overtime against M80. M80, of course, as it stands, they're winning the series 1-0. It's best of 3. If they win this map, they stay in the upper bracket. G2, they're going to attack a site that they've got a pretty good record on so far. And you look at the way that they're setting up on defense. Iana, Sledge, Dokkaebi, Nomad, and IQ. Again, I think with the way that M80 are trying to get aggressive and play their way back into the game, I think that Nomad is a brilliant pick. I think the Doki on Doki, as always, is a great pick because you're on a DM or on a LAN, and that global ability is just so oppressive to play against.
I mean, Dokkaebi, not only does it give away your position, it denies the cameras for a significant portion of time. It feels like an eternity when you're trying to hold a camera for your teammate and you're locked down by that Dokkaebi call. The mirror window set up inside of Train. I much prefer this from what M80 are doing. G2, they left up mining and Train so weak on this site. They allowed Kino to walk on in. Now, it's a different site. Mining is the site this time, but I do like that control they present. And that's somewhat of a final boss. If you hold on to Piano and you keep the vertical protected on that mirror window, all of a sudden there's not many answers you have to get on that site directly, forcing it into a dining take.
I want to see if they can make that happen, though. You know, we've seen G2 are able to do a multitude of different things here on Cafe, and they've won the rounds on the same side by doing different things, keeping M80 on their toes. So now you put the first one of those Nomads down. That'll prevent Gomez from rotating back down. Spoit is going to get put into DBNO, which is a big one as Alamau cleans that one up. 5 versus 4 now. G2 have the numbers. You've also cleared the player that was playing by pillars. You've also trapped Thorn on top of these stairs because of the Nomad. G2 have set this up really well. I know there's still a minute and a half to go, but they're getting those people into positions where they can easily pick up kills.
Minute 20, still recoverable from the side of M80. Need the next pick to go their way, and it might arrive at the hands of Doki. Thorn, though, prone, drops on stage, just waiting out, holding on, and this could be huge, as G2 might want to get control of Train to pressure that mirror window and make it not easy to hold on to mining. Repels in the white. That's the case in the hands of Yana. Alamau, dangerous game. No one has any idea, and Gomez gets one for free. Gemini falls, and this presents a problem. Now G2 have a threat lurking in the back line. A drone detected and shut down very quickly. Iconic joins his pressure upstairs as well. And G2, they might have walked into a perfect trap laid by M80. Can Doki calm the nerves? He needs to find this fight, and that's going to be difficult as Iconic just around the corner. But his teammate saves him. Benj is there, looks for a second, but can't do it. But all Gomez needs to do is stay alive and potentially find this one.
Yeah, but he is going to use the machine pistol, and it doesn't work as Doki gets the kill. 3-2. Diaz and Kino now need to hold down the fort. G2 still have 15 seconds. Time ticking away really quickly. The case is in the hands on White Stairs. Kino just needs to get one, but there's Doki coming through pillar, but they need to get in sight. They need to get the case down. Diaz gets his one, but now they've got no time. They got to hunt the kill. Gunfight being used. Diaz, C4 shotgun in the hand, misses his first shot and gets held back. Doki gets the case down. 40 seconds now left. Diaz missed a big opportunity to win that round for M80, and G2 get themselves into a cross, and this is pretty much an unwinnable position. But there's the shot on the Doki. 1 versus 1. I spoke too soon, but you've still got to clear White Stairs. Virtue gets a G2 win. They take the map. We're going to game 3.
Map 3 needed to separate these two teams, and you know what? I'm not surprised in the slightest. G2 looked comfortable and dominant on the offense, but one thing, we mentioned it during the pause, reading the body language, no pressure. They're not really feeling it, or M80. They're still